Andrew Hampp. I'm Los Angeles Bureau Chief with Signage. So this is my first time attending a digital signage expo, especially as a member of the press. For how Ad Age covers this space and how just agencies and marketers kind of interact with it, I think there's a lot of unknowns right now because it is still very emerging in terms of the role that it plays in the media mix, and also just how marketers directly are interacting with technology. I think they're just starting to figure out the social media pie. So I think anytime that's applied to an out-of-home mix, you want to make sure that it's an integrated conversation, not a standalone conversation. And I think a lot of the content here has done a very good job of addressing that. Kind of contextualizing what role digital signage, digital out-of-home in general is playing in marketing campaigns and how their media agencies interact with that as well. I think the biggest challenge in the near term for digital signage is just communicating to marketers that your audience is valuable and being able to have relevant case studies, relevant metrics that illustrate why that is. Not being afraid to partner is something that is a very important thing for a lot of technology suppliers and vendors to grasp, because frankly it's really hard for marketers to buy them in a vacuum. So and more often than not you're going to be part of a larger buy anyway. So it makes sense to kind of create partnerships, whether it's on a content basis, sales relationship, in your competitive space, what have you. I think there's just a lot of, it's very much like a 1 + 1 = 3 in this space right now. I think the strongest vertical market for digital signage the next few years, it's probably anything retail. There's a lot of talk about shopper marketing, of course, but also broader than that. Anything that's in malls, anything that's at point of purchase, anything that's or even in like in a transit environment that speaks broadly to any kind of retail environment. So it seems like there's just or actually in the fast food and casual dining space as well. That seems to be a real growth area because there's always talk about captive audience and all that, but as long as the content's supplemental to whatever the environment is. I mean, if you see what like Denny's is doing with their restaurants, or you're starting to see some McDonald's franchisees getting into it, I think anything that's contextually relevant but still like entertaining and not like completely over commercialized it's only going to grow if advertising can figure out a way to play a valuable role and not just repurpose their 30-second spots. I think the fastest growing technologies for sure in digital signage is going to be anything that integrates social media, because that's the biggest unknown, but also the most important thing for brands and media right now is how can all these different media influence and integrate with each other. If you saw what happened, for example, last year when Ashton Kutcher did a digital billboard campaign to promote his Twitter competition with CNN, like digital billboards were pointed to as one of the biggest influences on that, because it was an immediate rollout for the campaign, and also had a very direct attribution to how he was able to get some of those followers. So I think anything that can provide real-time insight through social media integration. So I think, again, going back to like anything that's in like a retail or fast food environment that can kind of create context and additional content to that scenario, or at a sporting event. If you see some of the things that Clear Channel's starting to do out here on the Strip or in Times Square, just anything that's additive to the consumer's experience. I think we're at a point now where just having screens in these environments is kind of reaching a saturation point in terms of the deployment. So now the next step is what's gonna activate those screens at this point. I think technology-wise, anything that 3D is the hot word right now. So anything that's tangible, it seems to be. It's just kind of naturally sexy. I mean, just again, going back to the interactive trend, anything that is kind of driving what a consumer can actually interact with, touch either physically or through their mobile phone, is impressive to me. I'm trying to think of other things that I've seen. Just anything that's kind of showing the context that the digital out-of-home and place-based media can bring, for sure. I moderated a panel on the role that digital out-of-home can play in a media plan and why it's important. it's important for clients to be investing. So essentially, it was 3 different agencies talking about how they sold clients on digital out of home, and I think it was really valuable to the audience because I mean, frankly, a lot of the folks who attend the show are vendors, so they want to know what's a good way to get on these agencies' radars, and also what they're looking for, what they need to be bringing to the table. So, I think that's directly relevant to how the Ad Age readership interacts with it as well. Like, what's going to kind of streamline some of these relationships going forward. We at Ad Age don't currently have a line item that specifically addresses digital signage. Like all of our emerging media coverage, any kind of case study that comes out of the space that illustrates how it works in context with a specific marketer, with a specific media company, whatever the case may be, that's where we kind of cover it. And you'll find that across the board. I mean, there's all sorts of subsets of social media, of digital media, of even traditional media who are like, where's our line item in Ad Age? And there's just, again, whenever it's contextually relevant is when we'll cover it. We're big picture enough that we want to be able to kind of follow where the trends are rather than cover the day-to-day of a lot of things. And some of that's just by nature of, where news is going. A lot of it is just because we have very little resources to dedicate. So, but yeah, I think anything that's just like, anything that's showing like a unique to the medium trend is what we want to be covering right now. I would love to come back if there was if there was more evidence of just relevant case studies that are actually moving the needle for a brand, or evidence that the agency community gets it and wants to interact directly with it, because frankly there's just a lot of different events for out-of-home media right now. So I think what's important is that the agencies get why they're, where the investment is, why it's directly relevant for them and their clients, why it's relevant for them to be having relationships with a lot of the technology folks who are here, and why maybe sometimes that is a little church and state in terms of like how it's bought and how it's distributed. So there's just a lot. I mean, this is a great chance to get a good read of where digital signage is, but for the media side of things, that would be what myself and agencies would want to see more of next year for sure. I think the best way to find those folks is just paying attention to how agencies are structuring themselves, where the dedicated buying's going. If you're seeing any trends like on the shopper marketing side, who's driving that, either at the brand level on the shopper side. If there's a big advancement on one of the media companies, say like there's a huge acquisition or a merger between two digital out-of-home companies, what's the significance for that for buyers versus just the technology folks? So just, general industry trends. Well, the thing is, the agency community is consolidating right in step with the media side. So, I mean, whether it's like the Posterscope and Chrysalis merger, or some of the changes you're starting to see, like even at some of the smaller digital shops, like Digitas and Razorfish getting into the space, like, and a lot of that is actually reflected here. It's just that it never hurts to have more. Digital signage, join the revolution.